tell a lot about a game about the mechanics because the mechanics are good. Which Requiem obviously has good mechanics. Sadly, I feel 50% of the game is those mechanics are wasted on by nerfing the player in some portions of the game. Also, coming to the realization there's no New Game Plus where you can do the sections you like and then the other sections later on just for challenges to kind of speed up the process and have fun, but yet do the sweat stuff another time. They really should have split. I'm just going to say it flat out. Grace's portion and Leon's portion should be split up in New Game Plus. The fact that that is not even an option at all, because it starts me back at the boss fight. It starts you... you took out New Game Plus, and it seems like such a downgrade. I'd rather go play Resident Evil 4 right now because at least that had New Game Plus in it right away. Same with Resident Evil 2. Had New Game Plus right off the rip. This game doesn't have New Game Plus and doesn't look like it's going to have one. Because it didn't ask me to save my game at the end, which that's what it usually does in order to initiate a New Game Plus. This game doesn't do that. It makes you start from the very fucking beginning with absolutely nothing. Just because they're trying to I don't know what they're trying to do by that. To me, it just seems like a downgrade from what you've already had in the game. And then you're just taking more back steps. It just seems like a huge, huge step back. Like, also for Leon not having a storage case, okay, whatever. I suppose that doesn't really matter. They went back to the whole Resident Evil 6 factor with that, where there was no storage case or anything like that. You just had to use and dispose of whatever they gave you and whatever you liked. You couldn't hold on to everything and just... I miss when you could collect ammo and collect all that shit so you could store it for use later, just in case you didn't want to do the try-hard shit for infinite ammo. At least you could collect it and then have your fun run with a whole shit ton of ammo. I did this on the original Resident Evil 4. So honestly, honest to God review at the end of the day for this game, if I was to give it a score out of 10 or out of 5, my critics score will be out of 5. My personal score will be out of 10. Personal score, I give it about a 6. A 6.5. Only because Leon's portion's really great combat, and honestly, especially the parts where he was getting sick, I was actually a little nerve-wracked. I was a little nerve-wracked. I was like, what's going to come out of the closet here? What's going to fucking attack me? And it was just simple lickers and stuff, and that's another thing I want to bring out upon. That it just seemed a little lackluster on the enemies. Like, I get it that there's just walkers around, but I figured there would be a little more of them. Because you had all these big wide open areas with just nothing in them. Mainly for exploration's sake. I mean, it would have been nice to see a few more enemies spawn in. Oh yeah, you're playing on casual. You know what? Make an excuse what you want for not putting more enemies on the map. More enemies doesn't necessarily make it harder. If they have more health and move faster, that's what makes it harder. More of them is not really a problem. It just ends up you use more ammo, and that's the whole idea. Okay, but no, let's just make them tougher and put less of them. The combat could have been a little more fluid, even though the combat's fun. I will try to play it again. But so far, I do not feel like the $80 I spent on this game was worth it. Because I don't want to play this game right now. I do not want to go back to it, and only because certain portions of the game are such a slog and so boring. And yeah, I get the scary factor, but I was terrified in Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2, the original, I was also terrified. I mean, the fixed camera angle, No, it was what jump was going to jump out at you. What was going to be next on the list. And, and that's why I want to actually result to the other problem with Requiem and Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, speedrunning. Speedrunning is an absolute problem, and that's why my critic score on this game will be a 2 out of 5. Because the fact that they focus on speedrunning instead of actually pushing the actual horror side of the game, what do? They nerf the player, put you in the body of a porcelain doll, switch it to first person just to try to get a slight fear and jump scare factor out of you. If I wanted to play Outlast and run for my life, I would go play that game. No, I want to be a tactical guy that's going into this not knowing what big fucking bioweapon I'm going to run into. Whether it was going to be Mixer X, like a bunch of liquor that it's like something like a liquor that comes out of nowhere, something like that. Okay, it seems like here they used a lot, try to bring back a lot of old resources. The boss fight being the doctor instead of Zeno would have been interesting. Because Zeno seemed like more of a fucking threat, but they just off him like that, and then they make you fight the doc, who's nothing but a smart fucking Mr. X. I don't know. I just didn't. I felt the gameplay. I did not feel the story. When it came to Leon's side, I didn't feel the story very much when it came to Grace's side, even though I did kind of like the whole attachment she had with the little girl, that whole thing that she actually tried to save her life. That was a really good thing, as the character she portrays as is this nervous FBI agent who's not supposed to be in the field. I'm just firing from the hip here on all this, but realistically, I cannot give this game a high score because of the lack of gameplay. The fact is, the gameplay happens for a good portion of it, and I would say it's a good 2/3. Okay, I would say Leon's portions is definitely way bigger than Grace's, but at the end of the day, I will just start a new story mode, go to Leon's portion, beat Leon's portion, quit, restart again, rinse and repeat. I would rather do that first portion traffic scene than the rest of the fucking game, just because of how annoying Grace's part is. It's not Outlast, it's Resident Evil. Resident Evil has always been a tactical team going into a situation where there's a unknown threat, bioweapon threat, there to take it out and prepared for it, and it's still scaring the shit out of you. Resident Evil 4, even the second time around in the remake, even got me shaking in my boots a little bit, and I was ready to fight, especially when I came to the Krauser fight. They tried to remake that with Hunk and failed. I mean, Hunk went down way faster than Krauser on casual mode. Krauser was a living threat. They should have had a whole fucking combat huge portion with Hunk. I think they did him dirty. They did Hunk so fucking dirty. But I will give this game, for all the fucking old Easter eggs, the memories, especially the gun store, that kind of broke my heart a little bit. I'm not gonna admit, I teared up a little bit. I cried. That was kind of but that's mainly what this game was. This was literally seemed to be a story that was an ode to Leon fans. That's what it was. It was one of Leon's big, I wouldn't say biggest missions, but it was definitely one of Leon's it was really just to save his own life in a sense, and Leon does what he does. He continues to be a good guy and try to help anyone he can. That's what he did in the beginning, that's what he did in the middle, and this is what he's doing now here. And that's why I get it. Leon's character has always been great, even in a bad game. And I hate to say it, if it wasn't for Leon, this game would be awful. It would be dead-ass awful. I did not play Resident Evil 6. I didn't play Resident Evil 7. I played 6. I didn't play 7. I didn't play 8. And it's only because I didn't like the story. I didn't like the first-person aspect. I didn't even like the main character. Let's make it a faceless character so the player can put themselves more immersive in it. I didn't feel immersed. I even played it in VR, and I didn't feel immersed at all. It's like I mean, it's Resident Evil, and again, that's why I say it's like taking back steps, taking bullets out of the gun, call it what you will. It just didn't feel like a Resident Evil game when it came to Grace's portion. It felt like Outlast. And I'm not here to play Outlast, I'm here to play Resident Evil. So at the end of the day, that's my score. I give it a 6.5 personal, but I give it a 2. And I'll be nice. I'll give it a 2.5 critic. Because in all honesty, I just not feeling it. For right now, it is stuck at a 2.5 critic score, and that is only because of the lack of gameplay, New Game Plus, being forced over and over again to go through the most boring portion of this fucking game when you need to separate those two portions. This would have been the perfect, oh my god, it would have been perfect to have an A game. The whole A game, B game shit. Like you have Grace's story, Leon's story, and then then you know you could skip the crossover portions because then you just have it so it, you know, you just play Grace's portions, and then you can play Leon's portions. And since you did it the first time, you know where they intersect. So at the end of the day, New Game Plus doesn't matter if you would separate those two modes. And that's what I think that if they would actually make that fix, if Capcom went out and made the fix to actually separate those two game modes, Claire's game, Grace's game, sorry, Claire. Claire Leon, fucking, I'm getting Resident Evil 2. Grace's game, Leon's game would have been a lot better for this than actually, you know, making the player go through it the first time, both of them, phenomenal. Honestly, I think it was an incredible idea. Because it actually gets you the feel for the main characters. And that the fact that they gave you the option to go in the third person. Thank you, Capcom, for going on that trend. That is one of the better trends you can actually get on. That's the only reason why you guys didn't go below a 2 on this fucking game, is because of that. The fact that you can switch from first person to third person with both Leon and Grace, I think, is fucking amazing. I think that's one of the best features you could ever put in a game, is because of people's choice and perspective. And it does change. I mean, for me, perspective is just a perspective. It doesn't change the ambiance of the game. It doesn't change... Hang on. It doesn't change, like, difficulty factor to me. I mean, yeah, fucking... There's the argument in multiplayer, corner peeking, because third person. I don't care. I don't play PvP, so that's not my... We're talking Resident Evil first person shit. What I would have liked is a shoulder switch control-wise, but I understand where Resident Evil comes from on that. They didn't do that for any of the other games. But yeah, at the end of the day, at this moment, at this time, this game is, to me, not the greatest, but has potential. It definitely has potential. I really think they need to do work with after the player completes the game, especially if they're spending $80 on it, because it's an $80 game. You need to actually give people the value for that, and that's in gameplay. It's not story, it's not that, it's gameplay. And the fact that you can't do a proper New Game Plus, even if you did start out with nothing, even if they start you out with nothing, that's fine. Just allow me to play either just Leon's portions or just Grace's portions. I'm not going to sit here and play both. If they don't make that kind of fix, I probably won't even play this game ever again, because it's just... To me, it's just going to be infuriating, and honestly, I'm sick of falling asleep during Grace's portions, and when I'm sitting there waiting for an enemy to pass by, because I know it's fucking pattern, and I know if I just stay still and wait, it's not going to see me. 20 minutes later, still waiting for it to move by the fucking door. Let's go here. It's annoying. I mean, I get frustrated at the whole getting grabbed by a fucking zombie from 20 feet away. Yeah, sure, but, you know, game mechanics suck sometimes. Otherwise, the game has potential. I just think I just really think they need to fucking uh I just really think they need to just separate the two games for New Game Plus, and that's only because of how fucking really annoying the whole process is of having to go through that slow section. It just, to me, it just took all my energy out of playing this game. I almost stopped streaming it because of Grace's portion. That's why I skipped it. I powered through it and I said, you know what? I don't like this. I'm not going to expose what viewers I have to it. It's kind of boring. I mean, you go through the part you guys missed is you go through this whole basement portion with Grace through what is a literal meat grinder for dead people. And it's under a fucking, yeah, it was just this, and then you have the big fucking blind lady chasing you the whole time. It involves switching power nodes and all this. There really wasn't much to it. You end up getting the girl. You end up escaping with her to this facility and then fighting the blind lady, and then Grace ends up flying off with Xeno somewhere, just a kind of a short summary of what happened there. That's how Grace ended up with Xeno. I mean, you can look that portion up online. I did not like it. It's just, Grace's portion seemed kind of pointless and could have been taken care of in cutscenes. It just, to me, it just wasn't the fun Resident Evil I like to play. I would have preferred fixed camera over first person, honestly. And back to the whole subject of speedrunners, I'm sorry, speedrunning seems to ruin these games. You want an actual idea on what to do? Let me give you a reference to Maximilian Dude playing the Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 4 Remake with a randomizer where random enemies would spawn in certain areas. That right there would be more of a challenge. See, that right there would be better. That would freak you out because all of a sudden, hey, there's a boss where a normal enemy should be, but he has normal enemy health. I'd prefer that over what they have here, and then you could adjust those randomized sections because you can't replace key items. Key items have to stay there so you can get through it. But you can do weapons, you can do drops, enemy placements. You could select multiple tabs just to have the randomizer hit. If you want to play it that way, or you could have a fucking switch that called soft lock mode, which means you have to get a lucky roll to get through the campaign to not get soft locked. And then speedrun that shit. Okay, if you could speedrun that, then you know what, fuck it, I'll be impressed. But the way I see it, you need to add a randomizer, because a randomizer would add more to the fear factor. Not speedrunning. Speedrunning is so boring. It's just beat the game as fast as you can, be done with it. Just throw it away. Then all you do is do the fast time. If you want the fastest time in a video game, go play a fucking racing game. That's what they're there for. Alright? That's why racing video games exist. That's why racing exists. It is literally a time sport. It's literally a time sport. It's not even a place sport. It's a time sport. Because at the end of the day, people with the fastest time hold the greatest records and hold the place in history when it comes to that shit. That's why no one's ever been able to top Jim Clark in a lot of his awards, because he's gained so many awards, but they've topped his time. And that's only due to the technology of the day. But if you actually, if you were able to put Jim Clark in a modern Formula One car, which you can't because he died in his fucking late 30s, he'd probably be whooping up on Schumacher like he was nothing. Jim Clark was just built diffy. But my whole point is, it's just, I guess at the end of the day, I made my critical changes. Pretty much the things they need changes. Add in a proper New Game Plus that splits up the two games. Whether to make players start over or not, don't matter to me. I don't care. I would say also add in some sort of like endless mode or something like that. I would even like to think of a good labyrinth mode with a randomizer. That would be cool. Um, yeah. Other than that, I don't think very many changes. Like change out the like, don't make it so next Resident Evil game. Don't make it so speedrun focused. I guess I know that's kind of hard to change out of this one. I'm not expecting it, but gotta step away from the speedruns. The speedrunning thing just seems to. I know people find enjoyment in it, and if you want to actually do that, get a stopwatch, do it yourself. But let's actually put mechanics in games that actually make the games beneficial and actually worth money. Because honestly, this doesn't seem worth $80 for just something I'm going to play the beginning of over and over again and then reset just because I don't want to tolerate the boring porcelain doll portions where I'm playing Outlast instead of Resident Evil. The way I see it, I'm going to say this to Capcom. Don't try to be like Outlast because you don't need to compete with them. You're on a whole other level, your own level, way beyond Outlast and any other scary game. You're really your own thing. I call it survival combat in an apocalyptic world before I would call Resident Evil a horror game. It's always been survival combat, not survival horror. So I think people got the genre wrong at some point, thinking Resident Evil was a scary game. Never really was a scary game. Never has been a scary game. And the fact that I hear rumors that people have returned this game because it's too scary, I think you need to find a place to not. I think you need to not be so soft. That's all I'm going to say. It's just because this shit's fake. There's real scary shit out there. There's real scary shit out there, and this shit is fake. You can't. You don't need to be scared of shit that's not real. You got to be scared of the shit that's real. Because at the end of the day, people, I'll say this, and this will be my closing statement. Remember, video games aren't real. Have a nice day.